Alright, so we're back on the channel here. We're trying something new here with my computer, so hopefully this doesn't lag too much. But we have a new update here on Tropical Storm Idalia and not tropical depression, not tropical, Hurricane Franklin. So if we go over here, I hope that's still recording. I believe it is. That's good. So my computer is lagging because of the new app I'm using, but hopefully this will work. And as you guys can see, right here we have Hurricane Franklin here. Then down there we have Storm Idalia. I, Idalia. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it yet. I'll look it up later tonight if I have time. So we have Franklin. This is currently a 105-mile-per-hour hurricane. It is a Cat 2. It is doing north-northwest at 8 miles per hour, and its minimum pressure is 962 millibars. So let's go into the public advisory. The header for the 11 p.m. EDT update on Sunday, not 17th, jeez, August 27th is Franklin is strengthening. Swells likely to produce life-threatening surf and rip current conditions across the east coast of the United States early this week. And then the summary of the 11 p.m. advisory. It's about 340 miles north of Grand Turk Island, and it's about 530 miles southwest of Bermuda. Its maximum sustained winds are at 105 miles per hour, and it's currently moving at north-northwest at 8 miles per hour, and its minimum central pressure is 962 millibars. There are no coastal watches or warnings currently in effect. Interests in Bermuda should monitor the progress of the system. Watches will likely be required for Bermuda on Monday. This is what we've been saying here for the past couple of days now. If you've been tuning into the channel here, we have been saying that Bermuda, if I go back over here, you guys are actually in the cone for Idalia now. I turn on my pen here and hope that works. Bermuda is right there. So Franklin will curve just to your north, giving you some rip currents, maybe some wind, maybe some rain. Depends on how far this wind field here extends. Then this is our cone for Tropical Storm Idalia right here. So that's something to note here as we move forward in time. But as we've been saying for a while now, watches and or warnings will likely be required for you guys in Bermuda on Monday. So tomorrow. Then the discussion and outlook here. Franklin is moving toward the north-northwest near 8 miles per hour. A gradual turn toward the north and northeast with a slightly faster forward speed is expected during the next couple of days. Maximum sustained winds have increased to near 105 miles per hour with higher gusts. Additional strengthening is forecast, and Franklin is expected to become a major hurricane on Monday. Hurricane force winds extend outward up to 25 miles from the center, and tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 125 miles from the center. Then, as I've said, the minimum central pressure is 962 millibars. If we subtract to radar omega here, If I can zoom in here, I believe this, I don't know, that's tropical storm force. That's also tropical storm force. So this light green or teal color indicates winds of, what was it, 39 to 56? Yes. So this whole teal colored area is 39 to 56 mph winds. This yellowish indicates 57 to 73 miles. And this red, if I can zoom in here a bit more, this indicates, no, don't want that, hurricane force winds. So that's something to note here. Nope, no. It's hard doing this right now because I don't have a mouse that currently works. So we're going off of my keyboard, pretty much. So the hazards affecting land, I said this earlier when we first went to Franklin's advisory. But the surf is going to be the biggest thing that comes out of Franklin. We're not expecting much else in terms of land impacts from Franklin other than maybe some wind, maybe some rain, but that's about it other than the surf. So the swells generated by Franklin are beginning to affect Bermuda. These swells are expected to spread toward the east coast of the United States during the next couple of days, likely resulting in life-threatening surf and rip current conditions. Please consult products from your local weather office. Then the next complete advisory on Franklin is at 5 a.m. EDT. So we will not be up there because I have a class at 8 a.m. tomorrow, so that's lovely. So we will go into the forecast discussion here for Franklin. So Franklin is becoming better organized tonight. A ragged eye has emerged in conventional satellite imagery during the past few hours, and the Air Force Reserve hurricane hunters reported a closed eye wall during the recent pass through center. Aircraft data indicated that the minimum pressure has continued to fall, with a 00 UTC drop sound reporting a pressure of 964 millibars. Since the plane departed, satellite structure Franklin Golden Tops. The initial intensity of 90 knots is supported by recent objective estimates from UWCIMSS and a T5.0 subjected NOVARC classification from TAFB at 00 UTC. Actually, I do not have tropical tidbits up yet, so that's interesting. If we go into our satellite imagery for Hurricane Franklin, we do see that this alone, we do see that we have that eye wall right in this general area, right here, surrounding the eye here. If we switch the type to, I believe it's the visible shortwave. Yeah, look at that. We have these fluffy cirrus clouds moving into Franklin. Maybe a bit of dry air up here. Let's see here. Water vapor. No, not really. We don't really have much dry air. Maybe some up here. We can see that with the darker shades of black. But mainly, we're not seeing any dry air that could hinder Franklin. If we go to our true color satellite here, I'm not expecting much. And yeah, we're not getting much because it's obviously nighttime now. As you can see, the time is at the bottom of my screen there. So that's something to note here as well, is that it's nighttime. But that's it. So recent satellite images suggest the hurricane is finally turning more northward as expected, and the initial motion is north-northwestward. Westward adjustments. Too fast. Okay, based on recent satellite trends, it appears that the shear has weakened and the inner core of Franklin has become more solidified. Thus, the hurricane could be primed to strengthen in the near term with the low shear environment over very warm sea surface temperatures. The NHC forecast brings Franklin to major hurricane intensity in 12 hours with more strengthening thereafter. In best agreement with some of the regional hurricane models and slightly above the HCCA IVCN aids. As the hurricane recurves, increased deep layer shear in cooler waters should induce some weakening, although the wind field will expand while the hurricane moves further into the mid latitudes. Although the core of Franklin is forecast to pass west and north of Bermuda during the next few days, its expanding wind field will likely require tropical storm watch for the island on Monday. Then, as you can see here, about 36 hours out is when it's expected to hit its peak intensity of 130 miles per hour. So that is something to note here, is that we could have a Category 4 hurricane out of Franklin. And now on to Tropical Storm Idalia here. This has increased in strength. This has increased from 45 miles per hour up to 60. And if we move back over to Tropical Tidbits here, we go to Tropical Storm Idalia. This thing isn't moving much here. We have all these tropical storm force winds in this convection burst right here that I'm circling. And if we switch over to the visible shortwave, once again, as soon as this will load, it'll get there eventually. We can see that this does have that rotating feature that we're looking for with tropical systems. You can see we have these clouds moving into the system, and we have circular motion over here as well. So that's something to take note of here. Because Idalia is rapidly strengthening now. The one thing that I will say here that could hinder it is all this dry air up here in the Gulf of Mexico. That is the only thing that is limiting Idalia right now. But the fact that, for one thing, it's stationary. It's not moving. So it has all the time in the world to strengthen. And that's what it's done by increasing its maximum sustained winds by 25 miles per hour, I believe. Could be wrong here. Let me do some quick calculations. Sure. Oh, sorry, 15 miles per hour. Math is hard. Numbers are hard. But anyway, let's get into public advisory number 6 on Tropical Storm Idalia. So the header here is Idalia strengthening quickly. Hurricane warnings have now been issued for the Cuban province of Pinar del Rio. And I'm not sure. Can I get those warnings on here, or is it only? I cannot get the hurricane warnings on here. I do not think. Um, I have hurricane warnings on, right? Yeah. Yes, so we cannot access the hurricane warnings on not tropical tidbits on Radar Omega, but we will be able to access them on the National Hurricane Center website. So it's about 145 miles south of the western tip of Cuba. It's currently maximum sustained winds of 60 miles per hour. Its movement is stationary, and the minimum central pressure is 992 millibars. So there have been changes with watches and warnings with this advisory. So the government of Cuba has changed the tropical storm warning for Pinar del Rio into a hurricane warning. The tropical storm watch for the Isle of Youth has been upgraded to a tropical storm warning. The tropical storm watch for the dried tortugas has been upgraded to a tropical storm warning. A tropical storm watch has been issued for the lower Florida Keys west of the west end of the 7 Mile Bridge. So the summary of watches and warnings in effect. A hurricane warning is in effect for Pinar del Rio, Cuba. A tropical storm warning is in effect for Yucatan Peninsula from Tulum to Rio Lagos, including Cozumel, the Isle of Youth, Cuba, and Dry Tortugas, Florida. A storm surge watch is in effect for Chokoloskee to Indian Pass, Florida, including Tampa Bay. A hurricane watch is in effect for Inglewood to Indian Pass, Florida, including Tampa Bay. A tropical storm watch is in effect for south of Inglewood to Chokoloskee, Florida, then the lower Florida Keys west of the west end of the 7 Mile Bridge. A hurricane warning means that hurricane conditions are expected somewhere within the warning area, in this case within the next 24 hours. Preparations to protect life and property should be rushed to completion. They should be rushed. You are running out of time if you are in the hurricane warning. This system is rapidly strengthening right now. So this means that you only have 24 hours to get out. In fact, you may even have less time now that I'm actually thinking about it. You could have less time to get out. Storm surge watch means there is a possibility of life-threatening inundation from rising water and moving inland from the coastline in the indicated locations during the next 48 hours. For a depiction of areas at risk, please see the National Weather Service Storm Surge Watch Warning graphic available at hurricanes.gov. This is the National Hurricane Center website right here. So if you want to keep track of Franklin, Idalia, or any other tropical systems that could affect you or someone you know, you can go to hurricanes.gov for more information. A hurricane watch means that hurricane conditions are possible within the watch area. A watch is typically issued 48 hours before the anticipated first occurrence of tropical storm force winds, conditions that make outside preparations difficult or dangerous. Almost done here with the watches and warnings, guys. Tropical storm warning means that tropical storm conditions are expected somewhere within the warning area. A tropical storm watch means that tropical storm conditions are possible within the watch area. Interests along the southeastern U.S. coast should monitor the progress of Idalia. Additional watches and warnings will likely be required on Monday. For storm information specific to your area, please monitor products issued by your National Meteorological Service. So for Tampa Bay, for example, that would be NWS Tampa. For the Florida Keys, I believe that would be NWS Florida Keys. I think that's what it is. Another quick check. Quick little Google search here. Yeah, National Weather Service Key West. So NWS Tampa, NWS Key West, NWS Jacksonville, likely NWS Tallahassee as well. And honestly, maybe NWS Palm Bay as well. Excuse me. NWS Palm Bay as well. So at 11 p.m., Dahlia has been moving erratically and is nearly stationary. A motion toward the north-northeast and north is expected again on Monday, bringing the center of Idalia over the extreme southeastern Gulf of Mexico by Monday night. Idalia will then continue on a northward or north-northeastern path over the eastern Gulf of Mexico on Tuesday and reach the Gulf Coast of Florida on Wednesday. Buoy observations indicate that maximum sustained winds have increased to near 60 miles per hour with higher gusts. Additional strengthening is forecast, and Idalia is expected to become a hurricane on Monday. Idalia is likely to be near or at major hurricane intensity and words are hard. Intensity when it reaches the Gulf Coast of Florida. Tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 70 miles per hour from. Geez, why do I keep saying miles per hour? 70 miles from the center. NOAA buoy 42056 recently recorded a sustained wind of 52 miles per hour and a gust to 60 miles per hour. The estimated minimum central is 992 millibars. So I'm not going to go into all the storm surge stuff because I've already been recording this video for like 34 minutes already. So yeah. So the storm surge will be a major problem here. The combination of a dangerous storm surge and the tide will cause normally dry areas near the coast to be flooded by rising waters moving inland from the shoreline. The water could reach the following heights above ground, somewhere in the indicated areas if the peak surge occurs at the time of high tide. So the maximum that I'm seeing is 7 to 11 feet. That's Aquila River, Florida to Chesapeake, wherever that word is in Florida, with 7 to 11 feet. So the deepest water will occur along the immediate coast and areas of onshore winds where the surge will be accompanied by large and dangerous waves. Surge-related flooding depends on the relative timing of the surge and the tidal cycle and can vary greatly over short distances. For information specific to your area, please see products issued by your local National Weather Service forecast office. Then the surge will raise water levels by as much as 4 to 6 feet above normal tide levels along the southern coast of Pinar del Rio, Cuba. Near the coast, the surge will be accompanied by large waves. The wind. The wind and surge are the main ingredients here to cause fatalities here. I hate saying that, but it's bound to happen. I hate saying that. We never want to see lives taken here with any storm, but especially hurricanes and tornadoes. But unfortunately, it's bound to happen. So the wind here. Hurricane conditions are expected within the hurricane warning area in western Cuba by late Monday. Winds are expected to reach tropical storm strength by Monday morning, making outside preparations difficult or dangerous. Preparations to protect life and property should be rushed to completion. Tropical storm conditions are expected over portions of the tropical storm warning area over the Yucatan Peninsula and the Isle of Youth in Cuba through Monday. Hurricane conditions are possible within the within the watch area by late Tuesday or Wednesday, with tropical storm conditions possible by late Tuesday. Tropical storm conditions are possible in the dry Tortugas beginning late Monday within the tropical storm watch area along the Florida Gulf Coast by Tuesday. Rainfall. Idalia is expected to produce the following rainfall amounts. Portions of the eastern Yucatan 1 to 3 inches with isolated higher totals of 5 inches. Western Cuba 3 to 6 inches with isolated higher totals of 10 inches. Portions of the west coast of Florida, the Florida Panhandle, and southern Georgia from Tuesday into Wednesday 3 to 6 inches with isolated higher totals of 10 inches. Heavy rainfall is also expected across portions of the Carolinas by Wednesday into Thursday. Heavy rainfall from Tropical Storm Idalia is expected across portions of the eastern Yucatan and western Cuba and may produce areas of flash and urban flooding as well as landslides across western Cuba. Scattered flash and urban flooding is expected across portions of the west coast of Florida, the Florida Panhandle, and southern Georgia late Tuesday night through Wednesday. Heavy rainfall may lead to flash flooding across portions of the Carolinas Wednesday and Thursday. The next intermediate advisory is at 1 a.m. Central Daylight Time. I am not going to be up until then. In fact, I'm probably going to call it a night once this video has been uploaded. Then the next complete advisory is at 4 a.m. Once again, not going to be up for that recording. I'll likely have another video up by probably by like 6 or 7 p.m. tomorrow. So now we will move into the cone here. Obviously, you guys have already seen that. What am I saying? Darn it, I went into the wrong thing. It's the forecast discussion that I want. Okay. Idalia is sitting over very warm waters of about 30 degrees Celsius. If we do a quick Google search here, that's about 86 degrees in Fahrenheit. That's how hot the waters are in the Gulf. And it's just going to move into hotter waters. So when it moves northward, it will be over the even deeper warm waters of the loop current in 24 to 36 hours. Although the trough over the Gulf could impart some share of its system, this is likely to be offset by upper level defluence. Idalia has already strengthened more than anticipated, and the environment looks ripe for additional intensification, possibly rapid. The National Hurricane Center intensity forecast has been increased and lies at the upper bound of the guidance. The new prediction now shows a 95-knot hurricane over the eastern Gulf of Mexico at 48 hours. But it should be stressed that additional strengthening to major hurricane strength is becoming increasingly likely before Idalia reaches the Gulf Coast of Florida. Interests within the storm surge and hurricane watch areas are urged to prepare for possible significant impacts and monitor future updates to the forecast. So we'll just talk about the key messages now here. So, Idalia is forecast to become a hurricane by the time it reaches the southeastern Gulf of Mexico, and it could be near or at major hurricane strength when it reaches the Gulf Coast of Florida. The risk continues to increase for a life-threatening storm surge and hurricane-force winds along portions of the west coast of Florida and the Florida Panhandle, beginning as early as Tuesday. Storm surge and hurricane watches are in effect for portions of the west coast of Florida and the coast of the Florida Panhandle, and residents in these areas should monitor updates to the forecast and follow any advice given by local officials. 2. Scattered flash and urban flooding is expected across portions of the west coast of Florida, the Florida Panhandle, and southern Georgia late Tuesday night through Wednesday. Heavy rainfall may lead to flash flooding across portions of the Carolinas Wednesday and Thursday. Then 3. Hurricane force winds are expected across portions of far western Cuba late Monday. Heavy rainfall is expected across portions of the eastern Yucatan and western Cuba and may produce areas of flash and urban flooding as well as landslides across western Cuba. Then 48 hours out here, as you guys can see, 95 knot, 110 mile per hour hurricane. That is, I believe, 10 miles off of Cat 3. For Winston, yeah. No, that is 1 mile per hour off of a Category 3. So that's something to take note of here as we move forward here with Idalia that could be near major hurricane status as it approaches the Gulf of Mexico. Also, if you're in the area that I'm about to highlight here, you guys should probably evacuate. I've seen numerous people on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, saying that there's not really much of an escape route here. Okay, it's all like swampland. If you're in like Cedar Key, Horseshoe Beach, Cross City, if any of those areas sound familiar to you, you guys should probably start thinking about moving north or south to get out of the path of this system. If you have family outside the cone here, you should probably ask them if you can come up to their house to ride out the hurricane with them. Move anywhere else outside this cone of uncertainty here, because as I mentioned with Franklin, I believe it was last night or maybe earlier today, it can shift either to the western side of the cone, it can shift to the western side of the cone, or it could go straight down the middle. Right now, looking likely that Idalia will make landfall. If I can zoom in here. Near or at Cedar Key right now is where it is believed that Idalia will make landfall. And if we take off our cone here, just turn everything off for now. And we just zoom in on Cedar Key here. I promise you guys I'm going to end this video soon. But as you guys can see here, there's not really much here from stopping the surge or extreme damage in Cedar Key. So if you're in Cedar Key, I suggest just moving north. Just get out of Dahlia's way. Because as the National Hurricane Center have mentioned, it is increasingly likely that Idalia will be at or near major hurricane status. But with that being said, here guys, I want the video off. If you like the video, please be sure to like it to spread more and more this information with more and more people on YouTube who could potentially need this life-saving information. Anyways, that's it. Peace out.